You can't deposit $10 million here.
The transfer is verified.
Not by me. Call the number. Did she say 10 million? Everyone step back.
Return my document.
People like you don't walk in with money like this.
People like me. Maybe we should verify
Stay
first.
out of it.
Read page 2.
I asked where you got it.
The answer is in your hand.
Why won't you?
Open the door. I was told I have a closing deadline.
You are not leaving during a fraud review.
There is no fraud review.
Then it can keep ringing.
What
It says pre-authorized. Close it! Regional verification is complete.
I said close it.
Read the instruction aloud. Contact Regional before any hold.
Do you want your promotion?
Now rejected.
You did not verify anything.
I verified enough.
You looked at me.
The approval is still active. Stop the hold. Nobody touches that terminal.
We all heard. I am calm. Are you?
What is happening? Regional override. Step away from every screen. I can explain.
Do not touch the files. The deadline is 4.
We know.
You know him?
Who is he? Freeze the branch.
Terminals, cameras, emails, transaction queues, locked.
Over one deposit?
Over altered records.
Who is this man?
Read the name on the transfer. The library.
You can't deposit $10 million here, the branch manager said, sliding the documents back as every customer turned to stare. People like you don't walk in with money like this. Why did the quiet black man in the faded work jacket refuse to defend himself? Why did he keep checking the clock while security blocked the door? And why, minutes later, did the manager's own boss freeze every terminal, transaction queue, and office in the branch? He had come to save a neighborhood promise before 4 o'clock. Instead, one careless decision exposed something the bank had buried for years. Stay until the end, because the name on that deposit changed far more than one woman's career. At 3:47 p.m., the magnetic lock clicked behind Marcus Hale. Ronald Bell kept one hand on the glass door. Rain tapped the windows, and the lobby smelled of wet coats, toner, and lemon polish. "I need that door open," Marcus said. Claire Voss stood behind the service desk with his leather folder. "You're not leaving while these documents are under review." "They're my documents." "They may be evidence." The second hand above the teller line moved with a dry snap. On Peter Nolan's monitor, a banner flashed. Pre-authorized incoming transfer. $10 million. He glanced at Marcus. Claire noticed. "Close that window. It says regional verification was completed this morning." "I said close it." The banner vanished. Marcus placed a folded purchase agreement on the counter. "The deadline is 4. Confirm the receiving account and the transfer clears." Claire's silver pen clicked. A deadline does not make questionable funds legitimate. Someone in the waiting area shifted. No one spoke. Marcus checked the clock. 12 minutes. "Call the number on the authorization," he said. "Ask for the escrow desk." Real clients don't instruct bank managers on procedure. 2 stations away, Leah Chen rubbed the edge of a receipt roll. She had seen the approval flag before Claire summoned Peter. Now, Marcus's record carried a yellow warning code that had not existed 6 minutes earlier. "Ms. Voss," Leah said, "the system may have cached. Finish your drawer count." Leah lowered her eyes. The paper trembled between her fingers. Marcus's phone vibrated. Naomi appeared on the screen. Claire picked it up first. "You can answer after we finish. My daughter is coordinating the closing. Then she can wait." Ronald looked toward the rain-streaked doors. Marcus opened his palm. A brass key on a blue ribbon rested there, dulled by years of use. "The building goes to another buyer at 401. "What building?" "The East Ward Library." Walter Reed lifted his head. His cane scraped the tile. "The old children's library?" Marcus nodded. Walter stared at the ribbon, then at Marcus's face. "I know that key." Claire pushed the agreement back. "Stories do not verify $10 million. "No," Marcus said. "Documents do." The clock snapped again. Peter reopened the transfer screen, angling his body away from Claire. Beneath the approval notice appeared another line. "Priority client. Contact regional office before hold." His breathing changed. Claire caught the reflection in the glass partition. Peter. He froze. Lock the file. That triggers a fraud hold. Exactly. Marcus watched Peter's hand settle on the keyboard. Once you do that, the closing cannot clear today. I understand, Peter said. Do you? Peter met his eyes. The lobby lights hummed. Outside, a delivery truck hissed to a stop, then pulled away. 10 minutes remained. Claire extended her hand. Mr. Hale, surrender the rest of the folder. Marcus did not move. Ronald stepped closer, narrowing the space between Marcus and the locked doors. Then Leah's printer burst to life. A single page slid into the tray. Across the top, in bold black letters, was a regional authorization Claire had just ordered Peter to erase. At 6:45 a.m., Marcus Hale opened the kitchen drawer that always stuck in damp weather. He pulled twice before it gave way. Inside lay a brass key on a faded blue ribbon and a grocery list written in Eleanor's hand. The radiator clicked behind him. Coffee steamed beside the sink, carrying the bitter smell she used to soften with cinnamon. Naomi entered in stocking feet, carrying one black heel. You're really going alone? Marcus lifted the key. That was the plan. The plan was made when Mom was alive. He folded the ribbon into his palm. The promise wasn't. At 30, Naomi ran the Hale Family Foundation with the same certainty her mother had brought to library tables. This morning, she kept smoothing her gray sleeve. Jonah can send counsel, she said. Or I can have the transfer handled from our office. I have an appointment. With a branch manager who asked for documents she already has. She asked because you refused to put your title in the email. Marcus poured coffee into a second mug and turned the handle toward her. I put my name. Naomi did not touch it. Your name means something only if people know where to look. Rain ticked against the window. Eleanor's old pickup waited beneath a maple tree, red leaves across its hood. Marcus opened the worn leather folder. The purchase agreement sat on top, followed by escrow instructions, the foundation charter, transfer authorization, and a photograph of Eleanor kneeling beside 6 children on the library steps. A crack crossed the photograph near her shoulder. His thumb stopped there. You don't have to prove anything by driving her truck, Naomi said. I'm not proving anything. Then take the sedan. The key sticks unless you turn it halfway back. I know. She always forgot. I know that too. The refrigerator hummed. Rain ran through the gutter. Marcus slid the photograph into the folder, but the corner caught. He tried again carefully. The seller's deadline is 4. Naomi asked. 4 sharp. And the backup buyer? Demolition company. Her fingers tightened around the mug. Then let me come. You have the scholarship vote at 9. I can move it. No, 42 students are waiting. And a neighborhood is waiting on this closing. Marcus fastened the folder. That is why we divide the work. Naomi picked up his charger. At least take this. My battery is full. You said that in Atlanta. I found the building. You walked 7 blocks in July. She placed the charger inside his jacket pocket. Eleanor had bought it before Hale Meridian owned 2 vans. Naomi glanced at the jacket. They're going to think you're there to repair something. Marcus buttoned one cuff. Then they can ask. And when they don't? He picked up the folder and key. Then I'll ask them to follow their own rules. Outside, rain silvered the porch rail. Marcus paused under the awning while Naomi stood in the doorway. Dad. He looked back. If anything feels wrong, call me before you decide to endure it. The blue ribbon twisted below his fist. I'll call after the deposit, he said. The truck door groaned open. On the passenger seat lay an unopened envelope from the bank, stamped with yesterday's date. At 2:56 p.m., Eleanor's pickup coughed twice before settling outside Bellwether Community Bank. Marcus turned the key halfway back, just as she used to, and the engine quieted. Rain tapped the roof. On the passenger seat, the bank envelope rested beneath his leather folder. Inside was confirmation of his appointment with Claire Voss at 3 p.m. He slid it behind the escrow papers. The lobby smelled of damp wool, floor polish, and coffee. Marcus removed his wet cap, tucked it into his jacket pocket, and pulled a number from the dispenser. 42. A polished couple entered behind him. Claire crossed the lobby at once. "Mr. and Mrs. Whitmore, welcome back." The display still showed 41. Claire guided them toward her glass office. "We'll take care of everything privately." At the teller line, Leah Chen, a 28-year-old teller, raised one finger. "I'll be with you in a moment, sir." "Thank you." His number softened in his damp palm. 3 minutes passed, then 5. Peter Nolan stepped from Claire's office carrying 2 folders. "Can I help you?" "I have a 3 o'clock appointment with Ms. Voss." "Regarding?" "A deposit." "How much?" "I'd prefer to discuss that in her office." Peter's eyes moved over the faded jacket, old work boots, and truck keys. "She may be tied up." "She confirmed the time yesterday." Leah looked toward the office. Claire was laughing at something the couple had said. "I can let her know," Leah offered. Claire opened the door. "Peter, those signature pages need scanning." Her gaze passed over Marcus. "Ms. Voss," he said. She turned. "Yes?" "Marcus Hale, 3 o'clock." Claire glanced at his folder. "Leah can handle routine deposits." "This one requires your authorization." "That depends on the amount." "It does." A wooden cane tapped behind him. Walter Reed, 67, stood near the coffee machine in a brown raincoat, staring at the brass key on the blue ribbon around Marcus's fingers. "Where did you get that?" Walter asked. "It belonged to my wife." Walter stepped closer. That key opened the side door of the East Ward Library. Claire's smile tightened. "Mr. Reed, Leah will call you shortly." Walter ignored her. "I taught at Carver Middle for 31 years. Children used that door when the front steps iced over." Marcus nodded. "My wife kept it open." Claire extended her hand toward the folder. "Mr. Hale, I can give you 5 minutes." Marcus handed her the appointment letter first. She read it, and for a fraction of a second her expression changed. Then she folded it beneath her clipboard. "Come with me." Inside the office, Claire pointed to the chair nearest the door. The air vent pushed cold air across his wet shoulders. "Identification." Marcus placed his license on the desk. "Source of funds?" "A property sale." "Your property?" "My company's." "What company?" He opened the folder, but Claire kept her eyes on the license. "Hale is common enough," she murmured. Behind the glass, Leah's monitor chimed. A pre-authorized transfer notice appeared with Marcus's full name and a regional priority flag. Leah leaned closer. Before she could read the second line, Claire reached across her desk and lowered the blind. Claire drew the blinds until the lobby became a pale blur behind the glass. "Company name?" she asked. "Hale Meridian Logistics." Her silver pen clicked. "And you claim the funds came from a sale by that company?" "I'm presenting the documents." Marcus placed the purchase agreement, escrow letter, foundation charter, and transfer authorization in a neat row. Rainwater darkened his cuffs. The office vent blew cold air across his knuckles. Claire lifted the escrow letter by one corner. "These look unusually polished." "They were prepared by counsel." "Professionally formatted papers are not automatically authentic." "Call the verification number." I decide what needs verification. Through the blinds came a teller chime. Marcus smelled burnt coffee and copier ink. Peter entered, carrying 2 folders. You asked for the exception reports. Leave them. His gaze landed on the authorization page. A blue regional stamp sat above Marcus's signature. Peter hesitated. That routing code is internal. Claire covered the page. Thank you, Peter. Marcus folded his hands. Then he recognizes it. I recognize many codes, Peter said. Do you recognize that one? Claire leaned back. This is not an interrogation. No, Marcus said. It's a deposit. Peter turned toward the door, but the amount caught his eye. 10 million? He said. Claire's pen stopped. Marcus slid the escrow instructions forward. The funds must be available before 4. Claire skimmed the first line. For the East Ward property? The library. You're buying it personally? The Eleanor Hale Foundation is. Her expression tightened. You expect this branch to accept $10 million into a charitable account with less than an hour's notice. The appointment was confirmed yesterday. By an automated scheduler. Marcus produced the signed confirmation bearing Claire's initials. Peter drew a breath. Claire stared at it. Initials can be copied. Call Regional Compliance. I won't be instructed by a walk-in client who refuses to explain how he obtained this money. I explained the sale. What was sold? A distribution property. To whom? The buyer is named on page 2. She did not turn the page. Outside, Walter's cane tapped twice, then stopped. The clock above the teller line marked 3:16. Peter lowered his voice. Procedure requires a second review before refusal. Claire looked at him. Are you reviewing my judgment? No. Good. Marcus watched Peter's shoulders fold inward. You were going to say something else. Peter's face warmed. We could place a standard hold. A hold would kill the closing, Marcus said. Claire pushed the papers back. Then your foundation should have planned better. Marcus's fingers tightened around the chair. The vinyl squeaked. My wife planned for 20 years, he said. I am asking you to make one phone call. Claire pressed the intercom. Ronald, come to my office. Peter glanced at the authorization again. Near the bottom was a line Claire had not read. Pre-cleared by Regional Executive Office. Marcus saw Peter see it. Claire followed his gaze and flipped the page face down. Take these to the lobby, she said. We'll continue where everyone can hear us. Ronald Bell opened the office door before Claire finished speaking. Bring Mr. Hale's folder, she said. We're moving this review to the main counter. Marcus rose. Cold air had stiffened the wet fabric across his shoulders. He reached for the leather folder, but Claire pulled it back. I'll hold the documents. They belong to me. They are being examined. Ronald left only a narrow path into the lobby. 6 customers remained beneath the white lights, pretending to study forms and phones. Claire placed the folder on the central counter. State your full name. You have my identification. For the record. Walter Reed stood by the coffee machine, both hands on his cane. Leah had stopped counting bills. Marcus Elijah Hale. And you are attempting to deposit $10 million into a foundation account? I am completing a verified transfer. Where did you obtain the funds? The sale agreement is in the folder. Where did you obtain them personally? Marcus checked the clock. 3:23. My company sold a distribution property. Claire raised her voice. Does anyone else find it unusual that a man arrives without counsel and expects us to accept $10 million? No one answered. A copier whirred behind the teller wall. An umbrella dripped onto the tile. Marcus said, "You confirmed my appointment yesterday." Claire held up the envelope. "This proves only that a message was sent. It bears your initials, which may have been reproduced." Walter shifted his cane. "You could call the number." Claire turned. "Mr. Reed, this is confidential. You made it public." A woman near the brochure rack lowered her phone. Ronald glanced toward the security panel. "Peter, take the folder," Claire said. Peter opened it. Eleanor's photograph slipped free and landed face up near Claire's shoe. Marcus stepped forward. Ronald raised an arm across his chest. "I'm picking up my wife's photograph," Marcus said. Ronald lowered his arm. Marcus bent. Cold tile pressed through one knee. Eleanor knelt beside 6 children on the library steps, her smile divided by the crack in the paper. Nobody spoke. He returned it to the folder and stood. His phone vibrated. Naomi flashed across the screen, vanished, then appeared again. Claire reached for it. Marcus covered the phone with his hand. "Do not touch that." Her smile disappeared. "Security is here because you are becoming uncooperative. I have followed every request. You have not followed one verification instruction." Leah's terminal chimed. "Ms. Voss, the transfer is showing as pre-approved." Claire crossed the lobby. "Close the account screen. It says regional contact is required before any hold." "Close it." Leah's fingers hovered. Peter whispered, "Claire, we should call." She lowered the laptop lid with one sharp motion. The sound cracked through the lobby. "Ronald, stand by the entrance. Peter, remove the folder for enhanced review." Marcus looked at the clock. 3:27. Claire picked up his phone and placed it behind the counter. "You'll get this back when we are finished." The screen vibrated with Naomi's message. "Seller will release property at 4:01. Behind Claire, Leah pressed print before the approval window disappeared. The printer began feeding paper before Claire could reach it. Leah tore the page free. The authorization was already in the system. "Give me that," Claire said. "It says the transfer was cleared at 9:14 this morning." Claire scanned the heading and folded it once. A screen notice is not approval. Peter stood beside the counter with Marcus's folder open. It has the regional verification code. Claire's silver pen clicked. Then Regional can explain why an unverified client has copied documents. Marcus's phone vibrated beneath the counter glass. "Return my phone," he said, "when we finish. You have made my family part of a public review. You made this public when you brought $10 million into a neighborhood branch dressed like that." The words crossed the lobby more cleanly than a shout. Walter's cane stopped. The woman by the brochures lowered her eyes. Ronald stayed at the locked door. Claire pulled a red stamp from the drawer. Peter said, "That code should be checked first." "It will be. Before a refusal. Are you refusing an instruction?" He looked at the folder, then at the floor. "No." Claire pressed the stamp onto the first page. Rejected. Enhanced review required. The impact rattled the pen cup. Red ink bled across Eleanor Hale Foundation. Marcus stared at the name. Claire slid the page toward him. "Now you have your explanation. You stamped a document you have not read." "I read enough." "No. You looked at me." Air hissed from the ceiling vent. A microwave beeped behind the teller wall because no one opened it. Claire's jaw tightened. "Ronald, if he raises his voice, escort him out." Marcus turned. "Did I raise it?" Ronald swallowed. "No, sir." "Then don't describe me as if I did." Peter closed the folder too quickly. Eleanor's photograph slipped out and skidded beneath the counter. Marcus crouched, but Peter bent first. He saw Eleanor on the library steps, surrounded by children holding paper stars. "My wife," Marcus said. "That is not part of your review." Peter passed it to him. Marcus wiped dust from the cracked corner with his thumb. The room waited. Walter whispered, "She taught my grandson to read." Claire faced him. "Mr. Reed, stay out of this." "I did," Walter said. "That's the problem." His hand shook as he raised his phone. The woman near the brochures raised hers, too. Claire's expression changed. "Recording customers is prohibited." "You're not discussing customers," Walter said. "You're displaying one." Marcus returned the photograph to his inner pocket. His phone vibrated again. 3:29, Leah said. "Count your drawer," Claire snapped. Leah did not move. The notice says regional contact is mandatory. Claire folded the authorization into quarters and placed it beneath her clipboard. "Not anymore." Marcus held out his hand. "My documents, my phone. Open the door." Claire selected Fraud Review on the terminal. The screen asked for a reason code. She chose Source Inconsistency. Peter's lips parted. "Claire, that freezes the incoming transfer." "That is the point." Marcus looked at the red ink seeping through Eleanor's name, then at the clock. 31 minutes remained, and Claire's finger hovered over Confirm. Claire pressed Confirm. A low tone sounded. The green transfer banner vanished beneath a red bar. Incoming funds suspended. Manual review required. Peter gripped the counter. "You froze it." "I protected the bank." "You changed the reason code." Claire turned the monitor away. "I corrected an incomplete file." Marcus watched the clock reach 3:30. "Undo it." "The hold cannot be reversed here." "You knew that." Her pen clicked. "Then you should have brought representation." "I brought verified instructions." His phone vibrated behind the glass. Claire ignored it. Leah opened the audit log. Warm paper and toner scented the air. 3 entries appeared under Claire's credentials. Priority note viewed, regional instruction dismissed, risk code changed. "Peter," Leah said. The original code was documented funds. Claire looked over. "Close that screen." "It changed at 3:12. "Close it." Peter stepped beside Leah. "She's right. Both of you are confusing access with authority." Marcus held out his hand. "Give me the phone." Ronald glanced at Claire. "Not yet." The phone buzzed again, then stopped. Rainwater ticked from Walter's coat onto the tile. At 3:32, the branch line rang. Leah answered. "Bellwether Community, this is Leah." A man spoke rapidly. She covered the receiver. "Jonah Ellis, counsel for the Eleanor Hale Foundation." Claire extended her hand. "Transfer him." Marcus said, "Put him on speaker." "This is private." "You moved it into the lobby." Walter raised his phone. Claire took the call. "Mr. Ellis, we are conducting a routine review." Jonah's voice carried through the receiver. "A routine review does not erase pre-clearance. The seller's counsel has given us 28 minutes. The documents contain inconsistencies. Name 1. Claire tightened her grip on the cord. "I will not discuss internal controls with an outside caller." "You're speaking to the Foundation's attorney. Release the hold or connect me to regional compliance." "That office is unavailable." Leah glanced at her screen. "They're online." Claire ended the call. Marcus's phone lit again. Naomi's message filled the screen. "Backup buyer signed." "We lose the library at 4:01. He read it upside down through the glass. His hand missed the counter. He steadied himself, crossed to the metal chair beneath the clock, and sat. The seat felt cold through his trousers. He wrapped one hand around its front edge until the thin metal pressed into his palm. Walter lowered his phone. Mr. Hale? Marcus looked at the brass key on its blue ribbon. My wife kept that building open through 2 winters after the city cut funding. Space heaters. Soup in jars. Claire remained beside the telephone. She asked me for one thing before she died, he said. Don't let them turn it into rubble. Only the lights hummed. Peter moved toward the terminal. I'm calling regional. Claire blocked him. You will not undermine me in my branch. Leah clicked print without looking down. The audit log slid into the tray, recording deleted notes and altered code. She folded it beneath a deposit slip before Claire turned. At 3:34, Jonah called again. The system rejected him automatically, while the hold notice remained on every screen. At 3:35 p.m., Claire muted the branch phone. Repeated calls interfere with an active review, she said. Marcus remained on the metal chair beneath the clock. The edge pressed into his palm. Cold air crossed his damp jacket. The lobby smelled of rain and burned coffee. His phone vibrated behind the counter. The screen showed a saved file. Eleanor. Library. Marcus stood. Give me my phone. Claire folded her arms. Sit down. That recording belongs to my wife. You can have it after the review. Peter looked at the screen. Claire, this has gone far enough. She turned on him. Do you want your promotion discussed today, or not? His mouth closed. Leah slid the phone across the counter before Claire could stop her. Leah! He asked for personal property. Marcus caught it with both hands. The recording opened on his second swipe. Eleanor's voice came through the speaker, thinner than he remembered. If you're hearing this, you're probably pretending you can carry the whole thing alone. A radiator knocked behind the staff door. The library was never the bricks, the recording continued. It was the light still on when a child thought every other door had closed. Promise me you'll keep that light on, Marcus. But don't lose yourself proving you can. The file ended with her breath. Marcus stared at the black screen. The blue ribbon around the brass key had tightened across his fist. When he opened his hand, it had left a deep line through his palm. Walter stepped closer. She made recordings for the students, too. My grandson kept one for years, he said. He was 12 and failing everything. Your wife sat with him every Tuesday until he could read a page without stopping. Claire picked up the authorization. This is not relevant to the transaction. Walter faced her. It's relevant to why he came. That does not validate the funds. No, Marcus said. The documents do. He slipped the phone into his pocket and reached for the folder. Ronald moved aside before Claire could signal him. Marcus gathered the red-stamped papers, then stopped at the door. Naomi's message remained open. Backup buyer signed. His shoulders lowered. I'm done. Leah came around the counter. Mr. Hale, wait. I printed the audit trail. Claire's heels struck the tile. You printed confidential material? I preserved a transaction record. You are suspended effective now. Leah's face went white, but she held the folded page. Peter looked at Claire, then at the clock. If he leaves, the hold stays. It should. Marcus placed his hand on the push bar. Rain blurred the parking lot. Walter said, If that building is lost, every person here will remember we watched it happen. The woman near the brochures raised her phone. Peter walked to the terminal. Claire stepped in front of him. Don't. He reached past her and opened the regional contact menu. I should have done this 20 minutes ago. A green light appeared beside regional compliance. Available. Leah unfolded the audit log. Beneath Claire's altered risk code, a new line had appeared. Executive Priority Match. Hale Meridian Logistics. Marcus released the door bar. Then every terminal in the branch chimed at once. Every terminal chimed at 3:41 p.m. The red hold banner vanished for half a second, replaced by a green line Leah had never seen. Executive priority match. Route to regional compliance. Claire reached for the keyboard. Close it. Leah pulled the terminal toward herself. No. The word landed harder than a shout. Peter moved between them. The system matched Hale Meridian Logistics. That proves nothing. It proves the account is real. Marcus stood beside the locked door, rain light across his face. Call the number. Claire's silver pen clicked once, then stopped. Leah opened the protected compliance channel. A green indicator blinked beside Send Documents. What are you transmitting? Claire asked. The authorization, audit log, and original risk code. You don't have permission. I have a duty to preserve the record. Her fingers shook and struck the wrong key. Peter steadied the keyboard. Try again. Leah attached the pages and pressed Send. The indicator turned solid green. 19 minutes remained. Across town, Evelyn Price, 58, regional president of Bellwether Community Bank, sat beneath recessed lights in a conference room overlooking the river. She wore a charcoal suit and kept her reading glasses low while executives discussed quarterly losses. Her tablet vibrated. She looked down and stopped the presentation. Who placed a fraud hold on Marcus Hale? No one answered. Adrian Cole, director of regional compliance, opened the alert. Greyhaven branch. Claire Voss. Evelyn stood so quickly, her chair rolled into the wall. Freeze her credentials. On what basis? Marcus Hale underwrote the liquidity agreement that kept 12 branches open last winter. The room changed. Adrian read the log. Priority instructions viewed at 3:12, deleted at 3:14, then replaced with source inconsistency. Preserve every terminal. I can lock the branch remotely. After we are inside, I want no warning. Her phone was already in her hand. Back in the lobby, Jonah Ellis called Marcus directly. Marcus, the seller's attorney will accept a certified bank guarantee if it arrives before 4. Can Regional issue one? Yes. Naomi sent the full closing package to Evelyn Price. Claire heard the name. You know the regional president? Marcus looked at her. You could have known that 30 minutes ago. Walter's cane tapped once against the tile. Jonah continued. Stay there. Do not let them return or alter the documents. Leah raised the folded audit log. I have a clean copy. Photograph every page. Claire stepped toward her. Ronald moved between them. She's preserving evidence, he said. Claire stared at him. You work for this branch. I work security. Peter turned toward the clock. 3:43. A message appeared on Leah's terminal. Regional team en route. Maintain current state. She read it aloud. Claire's face lost its color. That could be automated. Then headlights swept across the wet windows. A black sedan stopped at the curb. Another pulled in behind it. Marcus slipped Eleanor's key into his pocket. Outside, a woman in a charcoal suit stepped into the rain without waiting for an umbrella. The first sedan door opened at 3:44 p.m. Evelyn Price crossed the rain-dark pavement without an umbrella. Adrian Cole followed with a black case as Ronald unlocked the door. Step away from every terminal, Evelyn said. Claire straightened. Ms. Price, I can explain. You will. Not yet. Adrian touched his tablet. Teller screens turned gray. Printers stopped mid-cycle. The hum vanished, leaving only rain against glass. Claire's silver pen rolled from the counter and fell. Evelyn looked at Marcus. Do you have your identification and property? My phone. Not all my documents. Return them. Claire set down the leather folder. We had reason to suspect. Return everything. Peter removed the folded authorization from a drawer. Leah added the audit log. Marcus checked each page, then slipped Eleanor's photograph into his pocket. Evelyn turned to Adrian. Preserve the branch. Terminals, queues, email, footage, and access logs are locked. Claire's voice sharpened. You froze the branch over one deposit? No. Someone viewed a mandatory instruction, deleted it, altered a risk code, and blocked verification. Customers stopped pretending not to listen. Claire pointed at Marcus. He never disclosed who he was. Evelyn faced the room. He disclosed his legal name, company, source of funds, appointment letter, escrow instructions, and verification number. That was enough. She lifted the red stamped page. Marcus Hale is founder and chairman of Hale Meridian Logistics. He also created the Eleanor Hale Foundation. Walter lowered his phone. And the liquidity agreement he signed last winter kept 12 branches open, including this one. The color left Claire's face. Peter whispered, You knew the company? I knew the name, not him. That distinction is the problem, Evelyn said. Marcus checked the clock. 3:49. My status is not the deadline. The library is. Evelyn nodded. Adrian? He opened the case and removed a sealed document. Regional Credit prepared a certified guarantee. We need the escrow number and counsel's confirmation. Marcus called Jonah on speaker. I have the seller's attorney on the second line, Jonah said. Send it now. Leah entered the number while Adrian read it back. Her fingers shook, but every digit landed correctly. Claire moved toward the terminal. Ronald blocked her. You were told to step away. At 3:52, Adrian pressed Authorize. Nothing happened. A small wheel turned on the frozen screen. Naomi's name flashed on Marcus's phone. Dad? I'm here. The demolition buyer is waiting to file. I know. The wheel kept turning. Evelyn leaned over Leah's shoulder. Use the regional channel, not the branch queue. Leah switched windows and sent the guarantee again. At 3:54, Jonah's voice came through the speaker. Received. Seller's counsel is countersigning. Marcus held Eleanor's brass key inside his pocket. The blue ribbon slid across his knuckles. Then the printer behind Leah woke once. A single page emerged. Jonah exhaled. Recorded at 3:55. The library is yours. No one applauded. Marcus closed his eyes for one breath, then handed the page to Walter. Read the address, he said. Walter looked down, and his cane trembled against the tile. The page shook lightly in Walter's hands. 214 East Ward Avenue, he read. His voice caught on the final word. Marcus nodded once. Keep it safe. Adrian closed the printer tray and turned to Claire. Your access badge. She did not move. Now. The plastic card clicked against the counter. Evelyn sealed it in an evidence sleeve while rain softened against the glass. Everyone who witnessed the review stays, Adrian said. No one touches a device. Claire looked at Marcus. You got the building. What else do you want? He slid the guarantee into his folder. The truth about how many people did not. At 4:07, the lobby became a temporary audit room. Gray screens reflected the ceiling lights. Coffee cooled in paper cups, and the air smelled of hot toner. Adrian projected the transaction log onto the wall. Priority instruction viewed at 3:12:07, he said. Regional note deleted at 3:14:31. A timestamp glowed above Claire's shoulder. The source code was then changed from documented funds to source inconsistency. After that came the fraud hold and the blocked call from counsel. Claire folded her arms. The note looked wrong. Then why not call regional? Evelyn asked. I made a judgment. You erased the instruction that limited that judgment. Leah placed her clean audit copy on the counter. The system warned us twice. Claire's eyes fixed on her. You were told to close the screen. That instruction is logged too, Adrian said. He opened the next file. 7 customer accounts appeared, all marked with the same risk code. A mechanic, a caterer, a church treasurer, 2 family-owned stores, a retired nurse, and a contractor. Evelyn leaned closer. 7 prior cases? Some were delayed until contracts collapsed, Adrian said. 2 customers closed their accounts. 1 business missed payroll. Claire's silver pen remained on the floor. She glanced at it, but did not bend down. Marcus asked, How far back? 34 months. Review all of them. We can begin with these 7, Evelyn said. No, review every large deposit refusal, every manual risk code change, and every complaint routed through this branch for 3 years. That may involve hundreds of files. Then you need hundreds of answers. Only the clock moved. Evelyn nodded to Adrian. Expand the preservation order. Claire turned toward Marcus. You cannot let one angry customer dictate policy. I am not angry enough to be useful to you. What does that mean? You want this to be personal. Personal problems can be apologized away. He touched the red stamp across Eleanor's name. This was a system choice. Find where else it happened. Peter stepped forward. I approved some of those holds. Claire stared at him. I thought I was protecting my position, he said. She told me disagreement would go into my promotion file. Adrian opened a statement form. Will you provide the messages? Peter swallowed. Yes. At 4:22, Evelyn removed the projected file. The timestamp 3:12:07 remained frozen on the wall after everything else went dark. Leah pointed to a final icon. There's an archived complaint folder. It was hidden from the branch dashboard. Adrian clicked it open. 43 names filled the screen. 43 names filled the screen. Adrian enlarged the list. Some entries carried complaint numbers. Others had only dates and the word closed. Who closed them? Evelyn asked. Peter stared at the floor. The branch manager. Claire's paper cup creased beneath her fingers. She had not taken a sip. At 4:26, Adrian opened the files. A retired nurse had been questioned about money from her late sister's house. A bakery had been told its insurance payment looked inconsistent. A contractor had waited 6 weeks for verified funds. Marcus stood beside Walter. Call them? Tonight? Evelyn asked. Before they hear elsewhere? Ronald shifted near the door. I remember the contractor. He kept asking for a private room. Claire looked at him. You never reported that. You said he was disruptive. Was he? Adrian asked. Ronald rubbed his uniform seam. No, he was embarrassed. The doors remained locked, but people gathered outside beneath umbrellas. Leah opened a statement form. I saw the nurse case. Claire told me not to print the verification note. Claire finally spoke. You all followed procedure until it became convenient to blame me. Peter met her eyes. No, we followed you. The words left no place to hide. At 4:39, Rosa Delgado arrived. 61, compact and silver-haired, she wore a grease-darkened repair shop jacket. She placed a folder on the counter without sitting. My insurer paid for storm damage last year, she said. This branch held the money for 23 days. I borrowed from my brother to make payroll. Claire's grip tightened around the cup. You said my invoices looked homemade, Rosa continued. They were printed in my office because I own the office. Adrian asked, "Did anyone offer written reasons?" "No. They offered security." Ronald lowered his head. Rosa looked at Marcus. "You're the man from the video." "I'm the man whose file stayed open long enough for someone to see it. Mine disappeared. We found it." She pressed 2 fingers against the folder. "Then don't lose it again." The witnesses spoke in turn. Walter described the public questions. Ronald confirmed Marcus never threatened anyone. Leah produced the audit trail. Peter handed Adrian messages linking promotions to strict risk discipline. Claire said little. The cup slowly collapsed in her hands. At 5:12, Adrian read a message she had sent 3 months earlier. Use visible context when documentation feels too polished for the applicant. Evelyn removed her glasses. "What does visible context mean?" Claire stared at the crushed rim. "I was trying to reduce fraud." "By judging who looked entitled to their documents?" Rosa asked. Claire's answer took too long. Outside, rain streamed beneath the streetlights. Inside, the coffee had gone cold, and the clock sounded louder. Marcus placed Eleanor's red-stamped page beside Rosa's folder. "Do not make this about one bad afternoon," he said. "Make it about every person who left without knowing why the rules changed at the counter." Claire's hands opened. The cup stayed flattened between them. Adrian packed the files into evidence boxes. When he lifted a folder, a handwritten note slid free. Beneath Marcus's name were 3 words: "Do not escalate." At 9 a.m. Monday, the hearing room door closed behind Claire Voss. Her nameplate lay face down on the evidence table. Serena Webb, 50, the independent banking ombudsman, opened the files. "This review concerns altered records, ignored verification orders, public disclosure, and retaliation." "Ms. Voss, do you understand?" Claire held an empty paper cup. "Yes." Peter sat beside her, his tie crooked. Leah, Ronald, Rosa, Adrian, and Marcus faced them. Serena opened the first file. At 3:12:07, you viewed an instruction requiring regional contact. I believed it might be fraudulent. At 3:14, you deleted it. I removed an unverified note. At 3:18, you refused to call the number on the authorization. Claire looked toward Marcus. He withheld his status. Was his status required to verify the documents? No. Was his appearance relevant? Claire's fingers tightened. Not officially. Serena turned to Peter. Why did you approve the hold? I wanted the promotion she promised. Peter stared at the nameplate. I knew a second review was required. I stayed quiet. Did Ms. Voss order you to ignore the notice? Yes. Could you have refused? Yes. Adrian placed printed messages before Serena. She read one aloud. Visible context may justify stronger controls when documents appear beyond the client's profile. Rosa leaned forward. Whose profile? Claire's cup cracked softly. At 10:17, the panel returned. Claire Voss, your employment is terminated for record alteration, misconduct, retaliation, and concealment of verified information. Claire's shoulders dropped. Peter Nolan, you are removed from management duties and suspended pending retraining and final review. Your cooperation will be considered, but it does not erase them. Peter nodded. Understood. Serena looked at Leah. Your suspension is void. No retaliatory notation will remain in your file. Leah rubbed the ink stain left by the audit log. Claire faced Marcus. Is this what you wanted? He touched the worn leather folder. Eleanor's stamped page remained inside. No. You expect me to believe that? I wanted the transfer verified. You cost me my career. You made decisions. The hearing named them. Serena asked, Mr. Hale, do you recommend additional penalties? The clock above the door gave one dry click. Marcus looked at the nameplate, Peter's bent shoulders, and Leah's stained thumb. "I do not need a ruined person to prove a broken rule existed," he said. "I need the rule stopped." Claire's mouth opened, then closed. "Review every refusal. Repay documented losses. Protect employees who question an order. Never again let a customer's dignity depend on whether a manager recognizes his coat, his car, or his name." No one applauded. Serena wrote each request down. When the hearing ended, Claire rose alone. She turned the nameplate over, looked at her own name, then left it on the table. Outside, Marcus held the door. She stopped beside him. Why? Because the door is not the consequence. Claire walked into the corridor without answering. Behind them, Serena sealed the order and asked Adrian, "How quickly can these protections become mandatory across every branch?" At 8:10 a.m. 3 weeks later, the same branch doors opened without a guard beside them. A blue panel glowed on every teller screen. Private verification. Leah touched the new button. It sends the file to a second reviewer before any refusal. Adrian stood behind her, and the first reviewer cannot delete the response. Peter, now wearing a plain employee badge, studied the screen. "The changelog is permanent?" "Every edit, opened note, and canceled call," Adrian said. "Name, time, reason." Marcus watched from the customer side, his faded navy jacket damp from the morning mist. Evelyn placed a binder before him. "Regional rollout begins Monday. 12 branches first." Not enough. She waited. The 7 identified customers need findings before launch. The 43 archived complaints need human review, not automated letters. "Who calls them?" Marcus asked. Evelyn looked at Adrian. "I will." "Not assistants?" "No." Marcus nodded. "Start with Rosa." At 9:35, Rosa Delgado entered, carrying the same grease-darkened folder. Leah stepped from behind the counter. "We have a private room ready." Rosa glanced at the frosted glass door. "Last year I asked for one." "I know." Inside were 2 chairs, a round table, and no camera pointed at the seats. The air smelled of new carpet. Adrian opened her file. "Your insurance payment was improperly delayed. The bank will reimburse the interest on your emergency loan, missed supplier discount, and payroll costs." Rosa did not touch the papers. "Who decided those numbers?" "An independent examiner." "And who makes sure this does not happen again?" Leah turned the monitor toward her. "Any customer can request a second review here. No manager can block it." The blue button reflected in Rosa's glasses. She pressed it. A message appeared. "Review request recorded. Cannot be removed." Only then did Rosa pick up the pen. By noon, the training room was full. Employees practiced questioning transactions without exposing private information. One employee explained a delay with the door closed and her voice low. Peter stopped midway through his turn. "I would have said, people like you do not usually bring documents like these." The ventilation fan clicked off. Adrian asked, "What do you say now?" Peter looked at the sample file. "The documents require verification. I will explain each step, and you may request an independent review." "Again?" Peter repeated it until the words no longer sounded borrowed. At 2:20, Evelyn handed Marcus the final policy packet. "Protected reports go outside branch management. Compensation reviews are active. Quarterly audits will be public." "And East Ward?" "Funded for 3 years. The bank would provide free consultations at the restored library with no account requirement and no sales targets." Leah closed the binder. "I want to run the first session." Marcus noticed the ink stain near her thumb. "You already ran the first one," he said. She frowned. "You pressed print when everyone else was closing screens." Outside, sunlight crossed the lobby floor. On Leah's monitor, the private verification button remained lit after the training system shut down. This time, no one reached to close it. 6 months later, at 5:42 p.m., Marcus stood outside 214 East Ward Avenue while children pressed their palms to the restored library windows. The old brick had been cleaned, not replaced. Eleanor's name appeared in small bronze letters beside the entrance. The Eleanor Hale Community Center. No photograph of Marcus hung beside it. He had refused 3 times. Naomi came down the steps carrying forms. "You're late." "I was across the street." "For 20 minutes." Marcus watched the lit windows. "I wanted to see who came before they knew I was here." Inside, Leah taught the first financial rights workshop to 26 adults. Evelyn had appointed her to the regional customer protection team. Behind her, a screen showed the blue button created after the hearing. Private verification. Request recorded. Rosa Delgado sat in front with 3 East Ward shop owners. Her repair business had recovered the money lost during the improper hold, and she interrupted every vague answer with, "Which rule says that?" Walter arranged donated books near the children's corner. He had brought former students, including the grandson Eleanor once helped read his first full page. Ronald checked the side doors as a volunteer, then removed his old security jacket before the ceremony. At 6:10, Evelyn handed Naomi the bank's first public review. 43 archived complaints had been reopened. 19 customers received compensation. 11 decisions were reversed, and every regional branch faced quarterly outside audits. The report named offices, dates, and corrective actions. Nothing was hidden behind internal review. Peter completed retraining and returned as a non-supervisory account specialist elsewhere. His promotion file was closed. Twice a month, he told new managers about the moment he saw the warning and chose silence. Claire's termination remained final. A licensing board barred her from supervisory financial work for 3 years. She sent Marcus one handwritten letter containing no defense, only the names of 2 customers investigators had missed. Marcus passed the names to Adrian without answering. During the ceremony, Naomi placed a glass case beside the entrance. Inside rested the brass key on its faded blue ribbon. Eleanor's cracked photograph stood behind it, but the red stamped page was gone. "You removed the rejection notice," Marcus said. "It already did its job." He touched the glass. "The key should be used. The locks are electronic now. Then keep one door old." Naomi smiled. Mom would have agreed just to annoy the contractor. The crowd moved into the reading room. Marcus stayed beside an empty wooden chair reserved for Eleanor. Evening light passed through the ribbon and drew a thin blue line across her photograph. A boy approached with a library card in both hands. "Mr. Hale, they said you own this place." Marcus crouched. "No, the neighborhood does." "Then why is your wife's name outside?" "Because she kept the light on." The boy pointed to the side door. "It's locked." Marcus lifted the key from its case. Naomi began to object, but Walter was already laughing. The key resisted once. Marcus turned it halfway back, the way Eleanor had taught him. The lock opened with a soft click, and cold autumn air carried leaves, rain, and the sound of children running toward the light. This time, the door stayed open. Have you ever seen someone judged before their documents, work, or character were given a fair chance? Share what happened in the comments, especially if one person's quiet decision changed the outcome. Send this story to someone who believes dignity should never depend on clothing, status, or recognition. Sometimes the strongest response is not revenge, but making sure the same door stays open for the next person. Subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, hidden truth, and the systemic changes that follow when ordinary witnesses finally speak. Your voice can help these stories reach people who need the reminder that fairness begins with one simple act: looking again.